Good morning, everyone. As Victor introduced, our team will present what kind of activity we did at the Stockholm International Water Week, in particular our Eye on Asia series, seminars which we organized, and also what kind of lessons or experience we learned that we want to share. As you may know, ADB has been actively participated in Stockholm International Water Week, which is one of the most important water events globally. And ADB also invited to organize the water issues in Asia, so-called Eye on Asia, in every year. So during this process, ADB raised our profile on water, in particular Asia, and also we shared our experience and we learned from global good practices. Then we send our teams, usually with focusing on water sector group, but from 2 years ago, we want to break silo and we want to have the cross-sector team that's now practiced in this Stockholm Water event team members. Then 2 years ago, we engaged energy sector. And this year also, we have our actually 3 sectors. Even though water sector is leading this Stockholm Water Week, but our urban, of course, she is also a member of water, but she come from the urban sector group. And Ashok also come from the energy. So we are now demonstrating cross-sector collaboration and cross-sector knowledge sharing. And that we want to promote even globally and regionally. Then this year, the theme for Stockholm, that was water for sustainable growth and highlighting sustainable development goals and also climate change impact on water. Then during this event, our Vice President, Bambang Susantono, actually he led, but unfortunately he couldn't participate today because he had a mission. And he launched, together with our team, Asian Water Development Outlook 2016, which you can see this book. And this is the copy we presented. And now I would like to ask our Yasmin and Ashok and Eri Honda to share their findings. Thank you very much, Yasmin.
Thank you, Gil-Hong, and thank you to all of you. Perhaps I can just share a quick few points on the Asian Water Development Outlook 2016. This was launched at Stockholm Water Week, and kindly Vice President for Knowledge Management joined us and the team here to launch this product. I wanted to just give you a very brief background on what this product is. Essentially, the Asian Water Development Outlook is a communication tool to our region's developing member countries, but also internally to the bank and to other financiers of our region. It provides us a snapshot of the water security status of the region, so how countries are progressing in becoming water secure across a range of dimensions. And some of these dimensions are household water security, environmental water security, and economic water security. So as you can see from the slide, this is the third in a series of publications. It's now a very well-regarded, globally accepted framework for measuring water security. And what I would like to add is there's one major difference with this publication, and that is that it gives a more tangible or tangibility to what water security is. It's not some sort of concept, rather it's measuring water security using globally available data sets across a range of dimensions, and perhaps more details can be found through this short video that we're going to share with you.
The Asia and Pacific region is making progress in strengthening water security. This is a key finding of the Asian Water Development Outlook 2016, a new publication from the Asian Development Bank. In the previous 2013 edition of the report, 38 countries in the region were assessed as water insecure. Today, the number has fallen to 29. Asia has experienced remarkable economic growth over the past 2 decades, lifting over 1 billion people out of poverty. Despite this progress, enormous challenges remain in achieving water security. Asia is home to half of the world's poor. 1.7 billion Asians lack access to basic sanitation. With a predicted population of 5.2 billion by 2050, the region's water resources will be under enormous pressure. As many as 3.4 billion people could be living in water-stressed areas by 2050. The Asian Water Development Outlook 2016 assesses water security in 5 key dimensions using the latest available data. The report reveals how countries score and compare in the 5 dimensions of water security and highlights some important findings. There is a widening gap in access to safe water and sanitation between rural and urban areas, and between rich and poor in cities. Agriculture consumes 80% of available water resources, with little consideration of the impact on water for other uses. Water accounting will be crucial to know how much is available and who is using how much. Increasing demand cannot be met by simply developing new water sources. It requires more productive use of existing resources. Investing in infrastructure is only part of the solution. Better governance, information, and public awareness are also vital to strengthen water security. Now, in its 3rd edition, the Asian Water Development Outlook 2016 is the authoritative source on water security in Asia and the Pacific.
Good morning, everyone. The main task for me in the Stockholm International Water Week was to speak in a session on powering up Asia and share key findings from our study in China, or Energy-Water Nexus. A report on this study will be published later in the year. So why water is so important for electricity production? Let us look at numbers. In 2015, last year, 95% of the electricity that was produced in China and globally required water. What complicates this issue further in China is a heavy concentration of water-intensive coal-fired power plant in areas and regions which are already water-stressed. So obviously, the need is to move away from coal towards more renewable. When we talk about renewable, last year saw a record investment of $280 billion globally in renewable energy for new capacity addition. And more importantly, more than one third of it, $105 billion, was in China alone. So the transition to more renewable is already underway. But weaning away from coal is going to be a gradual process. In the meantime, coal-fired power plant will continue to generate electricity, and new capacity of coal will also be added. So it's very important that we send signal in terms of water allocation to existing coal-fired power plants so they use it in an efficient way. And when we are approving the new coal-fired power plant, we do it in a coordinated manner so that we can site them at locations which are not water-stressed. So what ADB is doing in its own project, ADB financed only one coal-fired power plant in the last 15 years in China. And it introduced a very new technology, which is not only the most efficient, it uses 35% less water for its operation compared to a conventional power plant. Moreover, when we are assessing and appraising any single energy project, we look at options which are there to minimize water impacts. So let me conclude on this issue by saying that energy sector has technologies and options which it can and it should take to minimize water impacts of electricity generation, but it needs policies, regulations, and governance to get us there. Let me very quickly share a couple of my takeaways from Stockholm Water Week. First, I thought it was a very good learning event to know about what is happening in an important sector, water, globally, and our water team has done a very good job to keep us there with a very good profile. Second, I thought both energy and water sector group in ADB and in our DMCs have to reach out to each other more to jointly address some issues for our common benefit. I'll stop here.
Good morning. I'm going to talk about 2 points on water and cities. First, it is important to take a comprehensive multi-sector approach. Water supply expansion increases the amount of wastewater. Many countries use combined sewer, which carry both wastewater and stormwater. Solid wastes are dumped on the roadside, clog drains, and cause floods and environmental problems. In Stockholm, I presented the Mandalay Urban Services Improvement Project in Myanmar that was approved last year. This project was designed to cover water supply, wastewater, and drainage in a comprehensive manner. Such a multi-sector approach contributes to A, improving urban environment and public health in a comprehensive manner, B, introducing integrated tariff systems such as combined water and wastewater tariff and environmental charges, and C, conducting capacity development programs for improving overall urban service delivery. Despite complicated implementation due to involvement of multiple implementing agencies and the large number of goods and works contracts, it is worthwhile to prepare and implement multi-sector comprehensive urban development project, particularly in the middle-sized cities. The second, DMC cities are going through different development patterns from the industrial countries experienced. Everyone has smartphones and use Facebook. They don't use computers very much. Even the government agencies have Facebook site, but sometimes do not have official websites. Smartphones are already used for emergency evacuation at the time of floods and typhoons. I think we may also need to consider using such new technologies and gadgets in other areas, such as billing and collection of water, wastewater, solid waste tariffs, customer management, and operation and maintenance. Lastly, I would like to thank water team for inviting me to the Stockholm meeting, which was very not only interesting, but also fun. I hope other people can also join in the future.
Thank you, Eri, and I'm pleased to hear that it was fun. So Gil-Hong, just to backtrack a little bit before we summarize some key points, Gil-Hong started in his opening points mentioning about the intersectoral or cross-sectoral links of water. And Eri and Ashok have shared why water resources are essential to their sectors. I think both of them have pointed out that without the resource, we cannot function. And I think in the context of cities, of course, cities' water supply is reliant on the basin, and just the same as in energy production, where they are relying on the basin. So we have this juncture where, as we go forward, the video also highlights that by 2050, 88% of our region's people will be facing water scarcity. With competing demands from the other sectors who are standing next to me, this becomes even more pressing. And what we do know, again, is by 2030 that there is expected to be a gap of about 40% between supply and demand of water resources. I'm just going to step back into the Asian Water Development Outlook and share with you this slide, which I think is an important one to share. And this looks at economics and water insecurity. So along one axis, we have the water security rating for each country as presented in the Asian Water Development Outlook. And on the bottom axis, we have GDP per capita. And what you'll see is this correlation with the advanced countries at the top, so water secure and having higher GDP, and the less well-off countries at the bottom. We have a tremendous amount of work to do to push those countries at the lower end up towards the advanced countries range. And that's why we do need to work across the sectors. What we're not saying is that we have a solution for this by using an integrated water resources management approach. But what we are saying in the Asian Water Development Outlook is that there are some solutions available. And perhaps we should just press on one or stress on one, which is to start accounting for water. So far, we have very little knowledge of how much water is being used in a basin by whom. So we work within our sectors without really knowing the quantum of water that's being used by each other. And perhaps this is an important starting point for which we now have technology through remote sensing available. I'd like to urge all of us to think about water, its intrinsic value to the economy, its importance in terms of governance, but also across the other sectors who are using the resource as well. For us to maintain a siloed approach will not help us in achieving water security for our region. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. That's a fantastic presentation. I just wonder, in this Stockholm Water Week, what's the mainstream of the topic, and then how this Asian water outlook is linked to this mainstream? Thanks.
So, Jingmin, the theme this year was Water for Sustainable Growth. And then clearly, we have our Eye on Asia sessions, 2 days, 2 half-day sessions, in which we present perspectives from Asia which are linked to that theme. This year we had 4 sessions, one on the launch, so looking at water security of our region, a broader macro perspective with our partner agencies. I would also like to thank DER who joined our mission. I'm not sure, I can't see Graham Dwyer here, but Graham provided us a lot of input for that session in terms of media and publicity for the launch of the publication. We then had a session on energy and water, which Ashok led, Eri led on the cities and water, and then we had one more session which was looking at water and food and energy nexus as well. So these all contribute to the overall theme of Stockholm this year on sustainable growth.
Let me just add, this year, as Yasmin said, their Stockholm event, they were the first event in water after SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, and Paris Agreement. Then this, our message in AWDO is water is a critical part of achieving the SDG, even though we have just SDG goal 6, but across all the goals, water is indirectly or directly connected. That's one message. Second, in the future, or even now, Asia is the most vulnerable region to achieve this water security. So our AWDO raised these issues and globally, and many agree this. So this was our contribution to the sector.
Yes, please.
Jem Lauraya from SPD. It's good to see 3 sectors here together. I just wonder, you talk about integration with other sectors. What have been done in ADB for you to work on the water security with like our key sector like transport, finance, education, and health? That's one question. And another more technical question is just a little bit on water accounting that you talk about. How do you divide it? I mean, by sector or other kind of like rural, urban, or whatnot, and who is responsible for this statistic, who's reporting, and how often? Thank you.
I'll do accounting. So maybe, Jem, I'll take the accounting question, and perhaps Gil-Hong can answer about cross-sectoral activities. So on the water accounting, we are working with 2 agencies, UNESCO IHE, which is based in the Netherlands, and also the European Space Agency. This is fairly new work that we're doing with remote sensing, so the use of satellite technology to start looking at quantum of water in a basin. And some of our colleagues who are sitting here from the water resources side, from the ANR divisions, are already working on this in their projects or the countries they're in. I can run off a few countries. We've started working in Cambodia on accounting all 5 basins of Cambodia. In Vietnam, we've started off with 2 river basins, and we plan in the next 2 years to complete the accounting for all 14 basins. We are also working in Indonesia, and my colleague is here from Indonesia, in India, in 2 states, and Pakistan as well. So we are expecting our first set of results for Indonesia and Vietnam in November this year, and we'll share that with everyone in the bank as well. So these will at least give us an idea of who is using how much of the resource in the basins.
Okay, cross-sector approach, let me just touch on, and maybe other colleagues also, they can add. We are driving this cross-sector approach through knowledge enhancement, one, and also operation, direct operation support. One knowledge perspective, now we are now currently developing some good practice to introduce water audit or energy audit in our irrigation project and also urban water project, because water pumping, they are using a lot of energies, and how we can address this energy use efficiency in water sector. So that we are now doing. Another one, we are now considering water audit in energy sector. So how energy sector, they are using this energy, and how actually ADB project need to be considered on our project preparation. That on coming soon. Then another one, now we are driving this water, energy, food nexus in the project, because ADB talk through our operations. Then there are a few examples. I feel we have good examples. One, PSOD, they had wastewater treatment investment project in China. Usually in this wastewater is not workable for private sector. But we connected to use this treated water be used by energy power company. So that could make the wastewater project is economically viable. Even private sector investment. That's just one example. I feel that's a great example in water and energy community in outside they are now looking for. So we need to think about how water, recycled water can be used in other sector like agriculture and energy, all this. That we are now doing. And also even transport, we are connecting. Because inland waterway, in China also we improved our water river place, and then it has a hydropower project and also inland waterway project. Maybe Ashok, you can add some examples. Yeah.
If I may just add some experiences in China. When we talk about operating in China, and as ADB is trying to address what we call is second generation development challenges in China, no single problem can be solved by a sector alone approach. So we have broken the sector silos within the department and trying to focus in cross-divisional team all the time. So that's a business as usual or a new normal for us in terms of operating in China. Now, energy and water has drawn a lot of attention in China, and there are some very smart policies and actions in China to do it. The drivers may be different. I mean, drivers could be air quality improvement and a lot of other things, but energy water issue also got into play. And when I say 95% of electricity what we produce require water, we see as a key risk. If we want to continue to generate electricity as we want, we have no choice but to coordinate with the water sector. So these are all driving us to coordinate better, and it's not only energy and water alone, other sectors as well.
Yes, please. Just a second. Just One question. The biggest user is agriculture, irrigation, and maybe coincidentally, no one is speaking about that at this moment. But I think the biggest gain with regards to water security can be gained in the irrigation part. So can you say a few words about that, and what can ADB do? What are your views on this for ADB?
Okay, thanks, Mikhail. Yeah, I mean, of course, the bulk user is irrigation, and then the balance, 20%, is split between industry and cities. As we go forward, and the projection studies that ADB has been working on with think tanks around the world suggests that we will need to reduce that water use in irrigation down to 60%, given that the cities' demands for energy will grow and the cities themselves will grow. I'm going to answer your question a bit differently, because I actually don't believe the issue lies in irrigation, given that those who work in irrigation already understand the path that they have to take and the work that needs to be done. And I believe our DMCs are also recognize that in terms of improving productivity, getting more crop per drop or more crop out of a unit of water. We know that's the way we've got to move forward. I believe the challenge lies more in giving that value to the use of water in agriculture. I don't believe it's fully recognized when we have discussions within the bank that the major resource user is agriculture. There is the focus, of course, rightly so, that the cities are our future growth areas. But unless we start looking at the resource overall, rather than fragmenting our discussion into, is it energy, is it cities, is it agriculture, I think what Ashok mentioned, I noted it down, no single problem can be broken by one sector alone. And I think that's a very valuable comment. The China Country Water Security Assessment has demonstrated that you can work across an entire department with everyone contributing into that security assessment, and equally in terms of the recommendations that that department has made to the 13th five-year plan of China. So I do believe we need to go ahead without siloing ourselves and siloing our discussion. We've got to start broadening our myopic vision. Thanks.
Can I just add one example? And this we heard in the Stockholm. When we talk about irrigation and pumping in India, it's a huge issue, and a huge issue for us in the energy sector. Because the electricity is provided free, so there is no incentive to use it efficiently, and you keep pumping and pumping. Now they have come out with an approach where they do solar pumping. And whatever is the surplus electricity, a farmer could sell back to the grid. Now, normally the calculation says that if they sell electricity to the grid, they can double their value in terms of the money they get, not only by crop production, but by selling electricity. So they have incentive to use it most efficiently and use it only when they need it. Now, whether it is sustainable is yet to be proven, but I thought these are the kind of smart solutions we should look at, not only the big bang projects or ideas. These small solutions which solve problem at local level is really important.